Let's have a closer look at BoP today. We will discover how it works, how you can make a car faster under BoP regulations, and how teams tried to get around it in the past. First of all, BoP means balance of performance, and as the name states, it's a tool to equalize the lap times of all competitors. So if there is a racing series and a manufacturer wants to join, he can be competitive although his concept is not as good as another one. BoP should also make racing more interesting for fans, because ideally all cars on the grid drive similar lap times, so there are more battles on track. But there's also a strange taste to BoP races, because good concepts are artificially slowed down to provide good racing. So manufacturers cannot really show the advantages of their car's concept. The whole BoP topic basically started with the introduction of the GT3 series. There are a number of factors that regulators use to equalize lap times. Minimum weight, fuel tank size, aerodynamics, that could be splitter, wing and diffuser size, engine parameters, so air restrictors, RPM limit, fuel flow limit, and tire size. The cars are assessed during their first appearance on track, and experienced officials decide which car will be slowed down with which factors. You can already guess that this is always creating trouble because not everybody will show exactly what they're able to do. So they don't get slowed down too much by these BoP factors. But these factors are adapted in the following races. So it's no wonder that pretty often new cars under BoP regulations are very competitive, if not dominant, during the first few races, and later on get slowed down further by BoP. If there's a minimum weight, I design a car as light as possible and use ballast to reach the weight limit. The good thing is that I can position the ballast to my own benefit at a low position to reduce the center of gravity. I can also use it to balance the car, or position it close to the center to reduce the mass moment of inertia around the z-axis. In other words, making it more responsive. For the ballast, I use a material with a density as high as possible to save as much space as possible. Popular in F1 is the material tungsten. Cheeky trick here is, if the car is racing in a category that doesn't check the car's rate after the race, you can find some ballast you can lose during the race, like a water tank. You release the water during the race in situations where people cannot figure out where the fluid is coming from, and hence race with a lighter car. The limited fuel tank size means that faster cars cannot run for so long and need more pit stops. Common tool here to reduce the fuel tank size is to put plastic balls in it. They are filled with air and take the space that fuel would usually take. Cheeky trick here is to pinch a small hole into these balls so they are fine at scrutineering but fill up with fuel during a race. Aerodynamic limitations are always geometrical and can easily be measured. But great about aerodynamic parts is that they are naturally more or less flexible and can be used for your own advantage. Cheeky trick here is a slimmed down swan neck mounting for backing off the rear wing at high speeds, or a flexible rear wing flap that stalls the flow and hence reduces drag. Very popular are parameters to limit the engine's power output. Often air restrictors are used in the intake system. If air is flowing through a smaller cross-section, it increases its speed. The highest speed that can be reached here is sonic flow. As soon as this is reached, the mass flow cannot increase anymore. But even if a restrictor is used, the mass flow can still be optimized. Important is that the air reaches the intake without separations, so trumpets are a good idea. A rounded space inside the restrictor avoids further separations, and the most important part is how the flow is decelerated after this small cross-section. If it flares open too quickly, the pressure difference is too high and air tends to flow backwards, which results in separation bubbles. So the best way is to flare the shape open as gently as possible to optimize the mass flow with a restrictor. RPM limit is also a popular and easy tool. Every car has a rev counter and in most categories log data, so the regulators can easily check it. If the engine doesn't rev so high, it has less power. Another factor to reduce engine power is a fuel flow limit, because if less fuel is reaching the engine, less power can be produced. Cheeky trick here is to constantly pump fuel through the sensor and store it between sensor and engine. The fuel flow limit is not breached and the engine can burn more and has more power. Another trick is to somehow inject more combustible fluid somewhere else into the engine. Ask a Maranello for more information on this. And tire size is another factor to reduce performance. So as you can see, BoP is always limiting certain performance points, but doesn't change the whole characteristics of a car. So there's still room to get an advantage. In the next part we will have a closer look at how ACO and IMSA want to use BoP to bring LMH and LMDh prototypes together. See you at the next video.